Okay, the day has come to install the condenser, and this is the old one, and I had to bring my van around. Hopefully the neighbor's not going to complain I drove over her grass. She's a real pain in the ass, that one. As you can see, this is the plan here. Let me get back here. Here's the pad that we're going to set this thing up on, and there's the condenser, all 300 pounds of it, and hopefully going to get this thing out of here without dropping it. But because of the landscape here, it's really not a long fall, so it probably would survive a fall if it slips off the side one way or the other. I don't think it will, but it might. If I can get my neighbor over here, I'll get him over here. Hopefully you can hear what I'm saying, because we got some wind going here, and every time we got wind, you end up with wind noise. Anyway, hopefully I can get my neighbor over here to give me a hand with this, just to add a little stability to it. If I can't find him, I'm gonna have to do it myself. So that's what's going on. Hopefully next time I turn the camera on, that thing will be up here on the pad. I still got the remnants here of the old Carrier R22 condenser, which, by the way, weighs about half of what this thing does. Hey, welcome back. I'm in the process of pulling this air handler out of the cavity that it's in. You may not realize it, maybe I didn't mention it before, but that thing is about, the bottom of it is about 12 feet in the air, and the top of it another couple of feet, so that cavity is probably about 14 or 15 foot to the inside ceiling. So it's up there. That's a 10-foot ladder I got there right now, a step ladder. But maybe you can see, maybe you can't. I already have the motor out. That's what that support is there. I had to build a support because the strap hangers and things that they have supporting this air handler block the access for the motor and the coil. So I took the motor out first. It seemed to be the easiest one to get out of there, and I'm going to get the coil out. And the reason I'm going through this whole exercise here is so that I can just get that empty cabinet out of the ceiling without having to rent any heavy equipment to do it, because I do have to rent heavy equipment to put the new one, the new used air handler, in the ceiling, but I don't want to be rushed because I need to do some duct work. These plenums are not going to work for the new air handler, so I need to make a larger plenum on the right side, and I don't know what I need to do on the left side yet. But once I get this thing out of the ceiling, then I won't be under pressure, you know, to have to cut a whole bunch of duct board and you know, do it under pressure, because I've got an expensive machine, you know, waiting to put the new one in. So once I get this piece of junk out of the ceiling here, I've got plenty of time to rework the ductwork. And my messy garage here on the floor. Here's the blower. It just took out. It was actually lighter than I thought. I've been thinking about this for days and days and days. And I was put off by the weight, what I thought was the weight. This is the, quote, new air handler used, of course, but I think this blower and the one I got on the floor here are probably the same, so I might be saving this air handler or this blower assembly. Of course, I won't be saving the coil or anything else that's up in that air handler, but probably the blower I'm going to save. So let me get back to work here. Well, getting that coil out is going to be a challenge. I don't think it's heavier than the motor, but you know, beyond the strapping and the angle iron that's holding it up there, and you know, the threaded rod that's in the way, beyond that, there's piping in the way, the plastic pipe's in the way, the low pressure line is in the way. So I got to try to get all that junk out of the way before I go up and attempt to slide that thing out of there. Alright, welcome back, YouTube. This is what I got going on here right now. I'm working on getting this coil out of the air handler. And you can see I got a hook up there and I got a chain hoist onto it. Really probably don't need a chain hoist. Probably could have just tied it up with something, but I had one. Maybe a come-along. You probably could use a come-along. This is scary, I got to tell you, to be honest with you. I don't think that thing weighs a lot, but the one thing you got to be careful with, I got to keep that chain taut as I'm pulling it out of the cabinet there, because I'm an engineer, and as engineers know, transient loads are not good. And what happens is, if the chain is not tight and that coil is allowed to fall, let's say 6 inches or even a foot, which would be even worse, the inertia multiplies the weight of the item, or the power it's going to apply, and it might pull out that hook out of the ceiling, or even worse yet, it might even snap the joist up there, which is only a 2x4. So it's nerve-wracking, but I got to do it. And my other problem here is that I got to position this ladder somehow. Right now I'm pulling on this thing, but I can only go so far by pulling, and then I got to get out of the way of the coil, because it'll end up swinging into my face here. So I got to get behind it somehow, and I have to absolutely make sure that when it does release, that it's not going to hit the ladder and knock me off the ladder 10 feet or whatever. So, children, don't do this at home. Welcome back, YouTube. Sorry about that. I know I promised you some video, but I got a little ambitious yanking that thing out of there. And before I knew it, I was at the edge and at the point of no return. Well, you see the result. So it's hanging there. And I got to get it down as far as I can. That winch, the chain won't go as far as I want it to go. But I think I could probably handle it by hand once I get it down far enough. And like I said, if I drop it, who cares? Probably screw up my floor, my garage floor, but you know, like I said, who gives a shit? Yeah, let's see how far I can get it down before I have to manhandle it. Not too much further. So I have a feeling that I can just carry it from that point on out. I don't think it's that heavy, so we're almost there. And then we just have to use brute force. Let's see. Okay, now I just have an empty box up there, an empty cabinet, and I got this piece of junk down. I used a cargo strap that I had. I have a come along somewhere, but I can't find it. It's in the garage like most people. My garage is a damn mess. But got it down without killing myself, so that's what matters. Next thing I'll do is get that cabinet down. Get that, boy, I'm sweating like a pig here. I get the cabinet down again. I don't care if I drop that or not. That should be relatively lightweight. I'll take the heaters out, and well, that's not going to lighten it up a lot, but I'll take the heaters out, and I'll go from there. I'll find a way to lower it, and all this will go back in the back of my van, and I'll get rid of it, throw it away, and then I'll start working on those plenums. That's going to be a job. There's limited room up there in the attic, limited space. Looks like 14-inch return, two 14-inch return lines into one plenum, and on the other end the supply line, I don't know. I can see it's large. It's probably 14, maybe even larger, I don't know. I can only see one, but I can't get back there. There's hardly any access, so everything I do on this side, on the left side where the supply line is, hopefully I can get everything I need to get done from the inside here, from inside this cavity on a ladder with that plenum, and I don't have to screw around too much. So anyway, that's what's in the future.